Hello, welcome to Revelator John YouTube channel again. So today I'm going to be talking about planning routes, for your off-road adventures in the UK. That is, we do the old green laning bit. So I'm always using Ordnance Survey maps, whether physical or online maps, on the computer or off the smartphone. So you can either use all of those, all and any of those. Obviously these don't need a power source or a battery, so you can just use those. In many ways they're preferable to using that. But what I really want to talk about is actually what kind of routes you want to plan for, what kind of routes you want to get prepared for. So you want to pick the routes that are accessible to vehicles, whatever vehicle you're going on. So that, for me it's motorcycles. I'm going to go off those off-road routes. Even to get to those off-road routes, you're going to possibly have to do some road riding as well. So I tend to pick all the roads that are really kind of back lanes, back roads, country roads, just to get to where I need to get to. So I've printed off a key, Land Ranger key for you. So it's these kind of roads down here. Okay, so they're all the narrow roads, less than 4 meters wide, roads with passing places, single tracks. These are just sort of single tracks here. Now the single tracks, can go through countryside, go through farmland, can go through forests, anywhere. You won't really know until you get there whether they're actually permissible for you to drive or ride on, because it might be private property. Just don't know. There might be private driveways. So you just don't know, but it's certainly worth a go. I've been on many a track like that. Great off-road riding, usually pretty basic in many ways, not too demanding, that's what I meant to say, because they're usually bedded in tracks, but they and sometimes you get a landowner approaching you, and you have to have a little chat, a nice chat conversation. Sometimes they let you ride on them, sometimes they won't. It's their land after all, that they decide what they're going to do. If you see a sign that says private property no entry, obviously you can't go it, but sometimes it's a bit ambiguous, you're not really sure, so give it a go and see what happens. You're not going to get shot over it, it's just a genuine mistake and somewhere you like to go. So, plan for these routes, have a look at them, see how they feel, and then ride them. But if you're actually planning for the green lanes, the off-road routes, then if you look at the OS map key, then here, this is the byway. Okay, it's a line with the sort of plus signs going through it. Okay, so those are the ones, byway, open to all traffic. I mean, it's any kind of vehicle going through. They might be rutted, dirt tracks, they might be paved, they might not be paved. It really depends. Might go through countryside, woodland, urban areas. Sometimes, so you really don't know. You just got to get on there and see what they're like. Don't always think that they're perfect tracks. They're usually, especially in the winter months, autumn months, spring, they're going to be deeply rutted, they're going to be muddy and everything like that, lots of big puddles, so just be aware of it. Sometimes they can be really challenging, sometimes not. I mean, I've taken a lot of bikes on these tracks that have just got road tyres, and it can be very tricky. If you've got off-road tyres, or dual-purpose tyres, then a little bit easier. But still, just be aware of that. So the other routes as well here, right at the top, this side here, you'll see like a little dotted line there. And those are other routes for public access. Okay, so not normally shown in urban areas. Okay, so again, not really sure what these are. You've got public access, you might be able to drive on them, you might not be able to drive on them. Really depends. Sometimes they have certain signs saying, definitely can't. So give you an example, I went to the kind of tracks which I was talking about here on these dotted lines, or also these roads here, these tracks. I wanted to ride through a plantation the other day, modern plantation. Got there and they blocked off all the roads and said no, every access around the perimeter of this plantation, it's massive plantation, about 100 acres or something like that. It was completely blocked off and not accessible to motorcycles or cars or anything like that. but there is access there once upon a time. So at some point recently or whenever they've decided no vehicles around there, and you can imagine why, because it might be private roads, people going there, you know, falling off left, right, and centre, or cutting up the area, cutting up the road. So you just got to be really careful. Where you're going, make sure it's legal for you to get on there, because you can get into trouble. And just always, especially if you're riding in the country, you know, don't hoon about, or you know, ride with a bit of country respect, you know, as well. I think that's quite good, because you want to endear yourself to the people, you know, who live in that area as well, or you know, people who are walking their dogs or riding the horses as well. If you come hooning around, then all of a sudden, you know, you're going to get a bad reputation, or you know, or everybody's going to get a bad reputation. So I think, you know, go slowly, or with, you know, respectfully. Last thing you want to do is be hooning around, have an off, and then you know, you just dent your pride and your bike, really. So but you know, I would always say pick a route, plan it on the OS maps, or physical or online, get it sorted, know where you want to go, then use your Garmin sat nav or your iPhone or whatever it is you're going to use, or your physical map, to actually track yourself along. Take it easy and just go and explore these routes. And say, always be mindful that the routes might be obstructed, they might be closed down for whatever reason. The routes might not be perfect at all, might be really difficult conditions, might be a bit too much for you if you're not really that experienced. And even if you are really experienced, sometimes it's one of those things, so you see it and you just think, nah, I'm not doing it, I'm turning back. You've got to be careful with fords as well, going through those. There's different times of the year that might be passable, might not be passable. You know, is your bike really sealed up? You know, I'm talking about electrics wise. For you to go through it, might not be. So bear that in mind. But these byways, these off-road routes, sometimes they're definitely rideable, sometimes not rideable. So you've got to, you know, look for it. And if you're unsure, if you're there and you see somebody, ask them and say, look, you know, I think this is passable by bike. Am I allowed to? They might know. A bit of local knowledge, who knows? And also, especially these white tracks here, or dotted white tracks, you know, they may be private roads, private tracks as well, so you've got to be aware of those. But anyway, so happy riding. That's what I do when I'm planning routes. Just sit in front of the computer or with a physical map, try and pick somewhere really interesting that I've never been before, or that I rarely go on, and try at different times of the year as well. And you know, go and explore and have fun, and you know, get back in one piece, hopefully, as well. All right, enjoy that.